Come thou fount of every blessing, tune our hearts to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. While the hope of life's perfection fills our hearts with joy and love, teach us ever to be faithful, may we still thy goodness prove. Come thou fount of every vision, lift our eyes to what may come. See the lion and the young lamb dwell together in thy home. Hear the cries of war fall silent, feel our love grow like the sun. When we all serve one another, then our heaven is begun. Come thou fount of inspiration, turn our lives to higher ways. Lift our gloom and desperation, show the promise of this day. Help us find ourselves in union, help our hands tell of our love. With thine aid, O fount of justice, earth be fair as heaven above.
Good morning, and welcome to this online service of Neshoba Unitarian Universalist Church in Cordova, Tennessee. I am the Reverend Beth Lefever, pleased and privileged, as always, to serve as the minister of this congregation, and I am so very glad that you are here with us this morning. Our opening words are by Jason Shelton from the hymn. Morning has come, arise and greet the day. Dance with joy and sing a song of gladness. The light of hope here shines, the light of peace here shines, the light of love here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. Let us be in worship together. And now Michael Garcia will light our chalice.
Good morning. The words of our chalice lighting today are by Sarah Eileen Yewell. Out of the flames of fear, we rise with courage of our deepest convictions to stand for justice, inclusion, and peace. Out of the flames of scrutiny, we rise to proclaim our faith with hope to heal a fractured and hurting world. Out of the flames of doubt, we rise to embrace the mystery, wonder, and awe of all there is and all that is yet to be. Out of the flames of hate, we rise with the force of love, love that celebrates our shared humanity. Out of the flames, we rise. And if you'll join me in reciting the words of our covenant. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve human need, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God.
Bear and Wolf by Daniel Salmieri.
It was a windless night, and glowing snowflakes fell through the trees in the deep forest.
Bear was out walking when she spotted something poking out from the glistening white.
At the same time, Wolf was out walking when he spotted something poking out from the glistening white. When Bear got closer, she could see it was a young wolf. She could see the wolf's pointy snout, smooth gray fur, golden eyes, and wet black nose.
When Wolf got closer, he could see it was a young bear. He could see the bear's big round head, soft black fur, deep brown eyes, and wet black nose.
Here's a picture. Are you lost? Asked Bear. No, I'm not lost. Are you? Asked Wolf. No, I'm not lost. I'm out for a walk to feel the cold on my face and to enjoy the quiet of the woods when it snows. What are you doing?
I'm out for a walk to feel the cold under my paws and to listen to the crunching of the snow as I walk. Do you want to walk with me? Asked Bear. Sure, said Wolf.
There's a picture for it. Bear and Wolf walked through the quietly falling snow, using their eyes and ears and noses to take in the snowy woods.
They both had thick, warm fur that covered their whole bodies. They were creatures made to be comfortable in the very cold.
Here's a picture of them walking together. Bear and Wolf smelled the wet bark of the trees and heard the small sounds of the snowflakes.
Heard the small sounds.
Heard the small sounds the snowflakes made on their fur. They slowed down to look closely at the different shapes. High up above the trees, Bird was gliding through the sky, feeling the snowy air on her wings, when she saw through the branches 2 shapes poking out from the glistening white. She flapped down to rest on a branch to get a better look. Now she could see it was a bear and a wolf walking together side by side.
Bear and Wolf continued on through the woods, looking up to notice the bird and passing quietly under the branch where she sat.
The snow was slowing as they came to a great clearing in the woods. Both the bear and wolf had been here before, but that was in the summertime, when the forest was green and bursting with sounds and smells.
In the summertime, this place was a round blue lake. Now it was a huge, flat, white circle of white. They walked out onto the frozen lake and looked down.
Bear cleared away some snow with her paw.
They looked through the cloudy, frozen water and saw fish floating, asleep in the green depths.
And then this next one is just a picture. I have to go now, Wolf, said Bear. I have to go back to my cave and sleep through the rest of the winter with my family. I have to go now also, said Wolf. I have to go back to my pack. We are following the scent of caribou and have many nights of running ahead of us.
I really liked walking with you, said Bear. I really liked walking with you too, said Wolf. I hope that we'll meet again. And they turned from each other and walked away.
There's Wolf and there's Bear. Bear spent the winter deep in a cave with her family, sleeping dreamlessly in her thick, warm fur. and Wolf spent his winter running silently with his pack, looking for the caribou. Some time passed and winter faded from their part of the earth. The snow melted, the grass and leaves grew again, and birds sang in the tops of trees. The forest was bursting with sounds and smells.
And there's the lake.
Bear was out walking through the deep grass when she spotted something poking out from the swaying green. Bear and Wolf walked through the gentle breeze, using their eyes and ears and noses to take in the awakening woods. Oops.
Impressive. The end.
Hi, my name is Chip Jermyn, and I want to tell you that Neshoba is a very special place. We have people from every walk of life, every possible background. No, we don't all think alike, but we value diversity. I think we all share the hope that we might be able to make the world a little bit better. We also realize the value of community. I'm often moved by the generosity our members show, both inside and outside of Neshoba's walls. Thanks for all your gifts to Neshoba and your gifts to me. Thanks to our wonderful, generous donor who suggested that we all increase our pledges. I did that. I hope some of you will too. We have so many wonderful people walking through our doors here. I really miss seeing you. I miss greeting at that front door, which I've been doing for a number of years. I hope that we'll soon be back together again, celebrating this wonderful church. Thank you for all you do to keep us together.
So a couple years ago, when our family first started coming to Neshoba, we were in desperate need of a place of peace, a place to just be. Life was tough. We had lost kind of our identity spiritually, but even as a family and as individuals, and we just needed a place to rest and rediscover ourselves. And even though at first I thought of Neshoba more as the island of misfit toys, in the long run, it became that place of peace for us, a place where we could recover from some of the shocks and losses that we had experienced in life, and it helped us to regain our footing. And that wasn't some kind of passive acceptance, definitely not on my part. I tested it. I sat and listened for a year and a half without even really talking to anyone, and then I joined a Chalice circle, and all of it was to test whether or not the people in Neshoba lived up to their statement of faith, whether or not love really was the doctrine of this church. And in the long run, I decided that, though not perfect, because no place is, that Neshoba lived up to that statement of faith, that it helped people to seek for their truth, that it helped people to find themselves, and then to participate in blessing this world around us. So after we found our footing, after I decided that this place was what I needed, then I decided to get involved. And that's mostly been with the youth. And at first, I can't tell you how nervous I was about that. I had worked with youth in the past, but in a very different setting. And I wasn't even sure if I was good at it anymore or if I would enjoy it. And so I temporarily worked with the youth for a couple of months. And at the end of those couple of months, I decided that I was getting as much from it, and maybe more, than they were. And then I actually really enjoyed just being with them. And so I have worked now for almost 2 years with the youth at Neshoba and have loved almost every single moment of it. And in fact, this past year, I'm not sure I would have survived COVID and quarantine without the youth, because honestly, they have become my pod. And though I've become more like a teenager than I was before, and I'm not sure that's always a good thing, I am truly grateful for the time I have spent with them, and both the way I have been able to bless their lives, but even more importantly, the way they've blessed mine. And so Neshoba has been a great place for me, a great place for us. I don't know where we would be if we hadn't have found it. And so because of that, and that alone, I'm grateful for its existence. I'm grateful for its continued presence. I am grateful that it is a bright spot in this world.
Every week, we afford our members, friends, and visitors an opportunity to contribute to our church, our movement, and all that for which we, as a liberal religious tradition, stand. It is good for us to give. It is good for us to extend our reach just a little beyond our comfort zone, to stretch ourselves a bit further than is fully agreeable. As physical exercise reminds us, sometimes painfully, of the blessings of a working body, or study, a working mind, giving reminds us of the blessings of a working church, a church that extends our values into the broader community, a church that insistently carries the voice of liberal religious freedom into a widely and wildly conservative culture. Giving is one of the ways we may respond to the stirrings of compassion that the Spirit of life sings in our hearts. We are so very grateful for both your gifts and your pledges of support for our church. Our morning offering will now be shared. My first reading is by author Cheryl Strayed. I was a terrible believer in things, but I also was a terrible non-believer in things. I was as searching as I was skeptical. I didn't know where to put my faith, or if there was such a place, or even what the word faith meant in all its complexity. Everything seemed to be possibly potent or possibly fake. My second reading is by the Reverend Samuel Willard, 1776 to 1859, Unitarian, speaking about the fugitive slave law of 1850. I will perform toward fugitive slaves all the acts of kindness that I should do if there were no prohibition against it. And I will quietly endure the consequences, though enormous fines should deprive me of my last cent, and though I be thrown into prison all the residue of my life. I can think of little that describes our faith better than our two readings. The first, a testament to the kind of confusion and complexity of the faith journey which brought many of us here. And the second, a powerful proclamation of the place of social justice in our Unitarian Universalist faith tradition. Though Reverend Willard, a Unitarian minister before our merger, took a braver stance than many of us do in the social justice battles of our day, it still is indicative of the high priority we place on justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, as our Unitarian Universalist second principle affirms and proclaims. So a couple of weeks ago, I preached on the greatest question, which was a humorous take on how sermons get written. This week, I entitled our sermon, The Greatest Answer, which was rather presumptuous of me, like I have the greatest answer to life or anything else. So I wisely, I think, opted to narrow the focus to a nonetheless important great answer. Why are we here? Not why are we here on earth or here in this lifetime or anything so huge as all that, but why are we here in this faith? Why anyone is involved in any faith tradition, why we go to church, and why we, you and I, come to this particular church in this particular tradition. I ask this question, or rather seek to answer it, because if our reasons aren't powerful, our experience will not be powerful. If our commitment to our church is mediocre, our church experience will be mediocre. And because we as humans seem to need religion, and we as Unitarian Universalists definitely need a religious community where powerful experiences of questioning and seeking, with the support and input of like-minded people, are alive and well and welcomed and valued. My evidence that people need religion is simply that people keep doing religion. From our earliest days, people have continued forming and joining groups of others, attempting to make sense of the world and to make the immensity of the world seem less daunting and overwhelming, to give meaning to our existence and to create mythologies assuring our ultimate safety and infinite survival. These things seem to comprise a fundamental need in the human species and are both understandable and, in my view, good. That is, until they are not. Good, that is. I think it is undeniably good for people to come together to seek and even formulate possible answers to the great mystery that is life. We need some kinds of answers, and we need others with which to share both the questions and the possible answers. We are both a tribal and meaning-making species, so religion, or what we call religion, becomes inevitable. Where it is not good is when the peoples of our communities, nations, and world come to believe that their religion is the only religion, and that all other religions and their practitioners should be abolished. That is not only not good, it is perplexing. Why can't different religions and the people who embrace them abide side by side? Why on earth can't we allow room for one another? Well, that's a bigger question than I am prepared to answer today, but what I will say is that our tradition, Unitarian Universalism, seems able to do that far better than many other traditions. We need not think alike to love alike is a favorite saying of ours, and more than just a saying, we are at least somewhat able to live it out in our lives, accepting other religious traditions with maybe a bit of skepticism, but without real rancor. One of the reasons I am here is because that is true, and further, I need to be reminded that it is true because my skepticism can become rather harsh and judgmental at times. I need us. I need our faith tradition to be good, to be a better human being. I need it too because it both inspires in me and gives me companions for doing the social justice work I so strongly believe in. I can't seem to do it alone. I can't do it alone. I can do and do it with our church family. And I need it because I believe the infinite God, if you like, the universe, and what I call the great mystery, is way, way more than any one creed or doctrine can contain. I want to explore it. I want to imagine the endless possibilities. I want to embrace its infinitude in a way I can only describe as spiritual. And no tradition allows, supports, and nurtures all that better than our tradition, Unitarian Universalism, Neshoba. I want to be able to say to you that I walked outside and looked up into the starlit sky and impulsively threw my arms up in thanksgiving and not have you laugh at me. I want you to be able to say that you found a personally powerful spiritual truth in the sand at the edge of a pond and find others of us nodding our understanding. I want us all to be able to make our own sense of the world, find our own meaning, supported and nourished by one another and by our church. And I want us to stand as witness to one another's lives, to celebrate and grieve with us life's passages, and to care. We are so much in this religious tradition. And I never feel I am able to say that well enough for you to get excited about us, for you to commit more energetically and enthusiastically to who we are and what we are about. That is my failing, I'm afraid. I am never able to say how important we are to us ourselves, to coming generations, to the community, and to the world, to set the embers burning in your own hearts and souls, to help you catch fire for all that it is that we are and can become and can inspire. But I will keep trying. I will keep trying because I believe in us. I believe in Unitarian Universalism and in Neshoba Church. I believe in you, and I believe in me, and in this world that we share. I believe in life and in the great mystery. And I want to share it, the joy and the wonder of it all with you as you share your wonder with one another and with me. May it be so, and amen. Now let us move into a time of meditation, reflection, and prayer, beginning with a moment of silence to relax, to breathe, to further open ourselves. How wondrous is the spirit of life with which we were born and which yet resides within us, a part of us. The spirit of life that moves our feet to dance, that brings song up unbidden in our soul. How wondrous that spirit of life with which both animates and calms us, which stirs us to passion and moves us to tenderness, which lifts us up when we are riding high and urges us up when we've fallen. How wondrous is the spirit of life that stills our adamant absolutes and entices our intellectual curiosity. The spirit of life that draws us from our hasty refusals and beckons us to deeper considerations. How wondrous that spirit of life in which we live and move and have our being, and yet which remains discreet, waiting for us to need, to seek, to become aware. We may tune in or not, but never does it absent itself from our being, for it is us and infinite. It is all around us, that animating spirit that gives the earth its cadence and flow, that paints the valleys greens and gives to the night sky diamonds. How wondrous is the spirit of life that truly goes by many, many names, but truly, too, is too big for any name. Amen. Each day we begin the rest of our lives. Each hour, each moment, for life continually calls forth to tasks and journeys and side roads. Let us respond boldly to life's insistent beckoning, knowing that wherever we go, in easy times and hard, we ever remain in the midst of beloved community. Amen. And until next week, blessed be.
Dear weaver of our life's design, whose patterns all obey, with skillful fingers gently guide the sturdy threads that will survive the tangles of our days. Take up the fabric of our lives with hands that gently hold. Bind in the ragged edge that care would sunder and that pain would tear, and bend our raveling souls. Let eyes that in the plainest cloth the hidden beauty
Hi, this is Bill Seiler with another video recap of this month's board meeting. The board met via Zoom on April the 20th. The secretary will prepare the official meeting minutes for our approval at the next meeting. But in the meantime, here's an informal recap of what happened. Before the meeting, the board got written reports from the minister, the finance committee, the treasurer, and from the building and grounds committee. We also got an oral report from Sarah Osborne, our director of religious exploration. Next, the board took up several items of old business. As you know, the finance committee is very busy these days with the background spade work that will allow the board to present a proposed FY22 budget for approval at the upcoming congregational meeting. In this regard, the Finance Committee gave us some revised expense projections for the coming year, revised to account for recent increases in the cost of health care and the cost of insurance for our building. In the second item of old business, we confirmed our decision to move the next board meeting to May the 25th. We did this so that our next meeting will allow the Finance Committee to finish its draft budget. The Finance Committee next meets on May the 20th. Next, we also finalized the date for the annual congregational meeting. That Zoom meeting will be at noon on May the 30th, and we are so very hopeful that it will be our last Zoom meeting. Next, we got a report on the ongoing stewardship campaign. In a nutshell, that campaign ends on April the 25th, just a few days from now, and we are about halfway to a pledge total that would fully fund a bare bones budget for the coming year. For our last item of old business, the board briefly returned to our discussion of upgrading the security cameras and other things around the building. In short, we tabled this discussion until we see what next year's budget looks like. We had two items of new business on the agenda for this meeting. This is the time of the year when the nominating committee should be busy assembling a slate of nominees for board vacancies that we will be filling at the upcoming congregational meeting. Jack Subert was on the nominating committee, and his passing left a vacancy that we never filled. For the short run, the board has recruited Chip Jermyn to step in and help the nominating committee complete its work for this year. Our last agenda item had to do with the flower communion service that we would normally have on May the 2nd. With more and more of us getting vaccinated and with things seeming to return slowly to normal, we were tempted to have the flower communion service outdoors in the same way we gathered last fall when we lost Jack. Tempted as we were, though, in the end, the board decided against an outdoor service for May the 2nd. Instead, we'll postpone flower communion with the hope that we can gather later this summer. That was it for official actions taken. We'll meet again on May the 25th. You are welcome to drop in and join us at that time. Take good care.